So we talked about basics of RESTlet. We'll talk about the entry points as in functions which are available in RESTlet. And then I'll talk about the authentication. How do you authenticate? And then we'll take an example to understand it completely.
So, can you explain what is RESTlet versus an REST API?
Right. So REST API is a method. Where to integrate with NetSuite. So
Okay.
NetSuite supports integration or connection using REST APIs, SOAP APIs,
Okay.
both, right? So REST APIs is one of those methods. Now RESTlet is a script type which enables us to connect or integrate with NetSuite or integrate NetSuite with any application using REST APIs. As I was telling you guys on, I think on our previous session, right, that NetSuite has recently introduced connecting to objects directly using REST APIs. Earlier, it was primarily using RESTlets. You could not integrate or connect or access any object data directly. It was through RESTlet only. So you call a RESTlet, and then from RESTlet you can do whatever operation is needed because it's a script type which is there in NetSuite itself. So that's when RESTlet comes into picture. It could be anything like performing a search in NetSuite, creating a data. So it could be getting some information, creating some records in NetSuite, or maybe updating some records in NetSuite, or it supports delete operation as well. So if you want to delete something in NetSuite, that is also supported using RESTlet. RESTlet is nothing but a script type which enables us to integrate with NetSuite using REST API.
Okay, so you mentioned in the past or recently, NetSuite introduced using REST APIs with the RESTlets, right? In the past, it was only RESTlets. So how do you connect just using using RESTlet with the other applications?
So the connection part I will explain. So what you need to do when you create a RESTlet script and deploy it in NetSuite, you'll get a URL similar to what we have in SuiteLit also, right? Right. Yeah. So you'll get that URL, which is an external URL. You share it with the third-party application that they have to call. So anything like even if you connect through SOAP API, you'll have to call a object URL. Right? Similar to that, you call the RESTlet URL. Then you have to share the authentication details, the token details and everything. And using all that, like using the URL, token details, these two things, combination of these things, they'll be able to access that RESTlet. They'll be able to call it. So as soon as they call it, the RESTlet script will trigger and it will start executing in NetSuite. Once the execution starts, whatever logic we have written within RESTlet, it will execute and it will return return is always in JSON format. So you return in JSON format whatever response is required. Let's say if you are performing a delete operation, so delete will you just it will trigger, you delete the record, and then response could be a message or an ID or anything. If you're creating a record, you give the responses and like what the record which is generated. So you provide the ID and response, like this is a new record which is generated. So it could be anything, right? Based on the entry point or based on the function you're calling.
Okay. So
and then the same response is you capture it or you use it in the external application. So as soon as you get a response back, you read it or you pass through it, and then you take the necessary action in the other application.
Okay. So this so RESTlet can it supports only JSON or it does support XML too?
I have seen JSON only as a response.
Okay.
Even if you see here, as far as I remember, it is only JSON, but I can quick check and confirm that part as well. But as far as I know, I've seen only JSON.
Right, but if it is XML, then if JSON is the only supporting language, then what would we use if we use XML?
No, I mean, SOAP API is anyway an option.
So SOAP APIs can be used within RESTlet?
No, I mean, when I'm saying SOAP API, yeah, you integrate Netsuite with SOAP APIs instead of REST APIs.
Correct. Okay.
If you have to put XML and the additional any additional thing, but I think I can quickly check if yeah, I think it is always, I've always seen it as a JSON only whenever we return it in JSON. Yeah, return is always been a JSON format. Yeah, I can this is one thing I can check additionally, Shrikant, and I'll probably share that additional information with you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. So now coming to the functions or the entry points which RESTlet support, there are 4 where we have get, delete, put, and post. Get is this is, I think this is very similar or very clear based on any API call, right? So if you want to retrieve some information, get. If you want to create a record, put. If you want to update a record, which is post. And if you want to delete a record, then you go with delete entry point.
So what does put do?
Insert.
Insert, okay. Post is to create.
Post is to update.
Oh, update. Post is to update, yeah. Okay.
But mostly used one is post. I mean, you can, if there is any, if you're not actually creating a record or such, you're just putting, performing a search and all. So mostly the one which is mostly used is post.
Okay, so first it reads and then reads it.
Okay, so I can open one of these functions, define the function as get request is sent to the RESTlet. HTTP response body is returns string and object. It is application. Okay, so it does allow support JSON XML also. I can see it here. So returns an object when a request content type is JSON or XML, both. Okay, returns a request. This returns a string when this context request is plain text, and returns an object which is a JSON object if it is JSON or XML. So the response is anyways JSON only. It accepts JSON and XML both, but it returns an object which is in JSON format. If your request is in XML or JSON, any one of those. So this is about get. Similarly, we have put, post, and delete. So let me open post. Same thing. When you have a post request, when you're sending a post request from when you're calling a post request, that's when the this particular function will trigger. It also has the same parameter where you have request body. So we'll see one example, but sure. Before that, let's talk about authentication. So RESTlet authentication is the one which is widely used is token based authentication. What do? You generate tokens and then share the token details with the third party application, whoever is managing it, admin or the developer who is working on that particular integration. You share the token details with them, and then they can access that particular RESTlet. So how to generate a token is you can have all that information here. Token based authentication, issue token and revoke token REST services for token based authentication. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where that zero auth, all those functions are used. Zero auth, right?
You're talking about OAuth 1.0 and 2.0. That is the one?
Yeah. Usually they ask about yeah, 0 auth 1.0, 2.0, right? Correct.
Yeah.
So that's the standard for accessing, right?
Correct. So you have this token-based authentication. So what
To
happens
grant.
is whenever you generate, you can generate tokens here by providing these details. So as soon as we enter the details, I can maybe show you the existing one, which
Do you have, by any chance, do you have a cheat sheet saying that this is the first thing you have to do, first thing you have to set up, authorization, then go to the next step by step for doing using a RESTful API or a
no,
RESTlet?
see the token part is common whether you go with SOAP API or REST APIs.
Okay.
Token based authentication is common. So
Okay.
first thing, whenever you set up your NetSuite instance, and integration is in picture, be it SOAP based integration or REST APIs. First thing, whenever you set up your NetSuite instance, the thing you do is generate tokens and share it with the team, be it
Okay.
middleware team or the third party application. So you
Sure.
share the token details with them. So that is common, irrespective of the API type. Now,
So this is only once, right? When
yeah,
you
this is
start.
one per instance, so you can share it
Okay.
with them. And there are two ways. One, you can generate it with the admin access, like somebody who is application admin can generate token and share it with them, or we can have a custom admin sort of a role, which is specific to integration, which we can generate it with that role also. Like most of the companies, when they don't want to have the entire admin privileges for integration, you can have a uh, custom admin. When I said we have, it is similar to admin, but we kind of remove certain privileges which admin has, um, and then create a custom role and then generate tokens using that role. So, for example, if you don't want to show the middleware team any financial report or your any balance sheet information or anything, you can remove those roles or remove those permissions from the role, and then you can generate a custom role. Otherwise, admin is also okay. I think that should be okay, because that is, again, the entire thing is depends. This entire thing is based on the company policy and the security part, because it's the data security and privacy part. So whichever works, based on that we can have the role, and then against the role or using that role we can have the token generated.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, so for example, I must have created test integration, right? So if you, I mean, I know so the only thing is, as soon as you create an integration here, only at the time of creation, only it will show you the credentials or the token details here. You will not be able to retrieve it again. So what happens is, as soon as you create an integration here, you can just, who you as in like admin or whoever is generating tokens can copy the token details and keep it with them in a secured place. From Netsuite, you will not be able to retrieve it. You'll have to generate a new token only. That's the only way, right? You cannot retrieve the old information.
Okay.
Okay. So what I will do, you can see here, I will generate a new token. Let's say REST.
Now, can you go back again from the first step? How do you generate a token?
Yeah. So you go to setup,
Okay.
integration, manage
Sure.
integration, and click on
Manage
new.
integration. Okay.
Yeah. So when I click on new, this is the page which opens. So I'll give
Okay.
it a name. Let's say REST API. Okay, so I have enabled scope as RESTlet and REST web services, and I will save it. This is the token-based authentication, right? So as soon as it is saved, you can see these two values. Copy. So I'll have copied it here. Let me save it here. So you got the consumer key and client consumer secret, right? Now, using the same role, we'll go to the home page. Here, you have manage access token here. The new my access token application name. What was the name of the application? REST API integration demo, right? And click save. User has exceeded the number of access. Okay, for this role, I will have to maybe I can delete something. Revoke token cannot be changed. Wow, so I cannot delete. It is not happening. Yeah. So now you have this access token details. First, we got the consumer key and consumer secret. Now you have token ID and token secret. So these are the four values, right? So this is what you need whenever you need to integrate with NetSuite. Right now, we have generated it with an integration which supports only RESTlets, but similarly, we can have for SOAP APIs as well. Now, the next step is to have the RESTlet script created, right? So what this is this is a sample script. So what we are doing here, we will pass a parameter in. So you have this get function and post function. I'm taking only these two. So in get, as I told you, whenever you have a get HTTP request, this function will trigger, and whenever you have post HTTP request. So yeah, I was talking about this get and post functions, right? So in this is a very small example. We are
so you just have to you just have to define those modules and just keep using it. So you have to start with the function record error.
No, that is the same. That is the same everywhere, right? You have defined right. Keyword where you define the modules, and then you take their object aliases here, and then the actual function thing starts. So we in this thing we have a get function and a post function.
Okay.
Okay. So what we are doing in get.
Mm-hmm. Get is just to get is to retrieve the record.
Retrieve any information, be it record or any custom record type or any list or field information, anything. Could be anything,
okay.
Right?
Okay.
So whenever you call a HTTP get method, this function will trigger. Now what we are doing in this, when we are calling this get method, we are passing two parameters, record type and ID.
Okay.
I'll show you how to, through Postman, how to pass parameters. We're passing record type and ID. So it will give us in our response, it will give us an object back. So what we are doing here, we are just loading that record with the record type and ID, what we are passing in the parameter. So this context parameter will capture both of these, record type and ID, and we are loading that record and returning it in a JSON format. So you'll get object structure in JSON format. That is the response. in
Sure.
get method, which is very simple, just a response. Now on the post part, what we are doing, we are setting field value for a particular field which is passed in a parameter. So we have in the parameter, what we are passing, we're passing record type, record, yeah, so we are, okay, sorry, not, yeah, so we are creating a record in post, the record.create. We can do the same operation in put as well, which is for create, and post is for create and update both. So record.create, the record type is coming as a parameter, and the field name which we need for which we need to set value is also coming in a parameter. And then we are saving it and returning the record ID, the internal ID which is generated. So let's say if I say record type is customer, and I provide all the field names, whichever value for which I need to set the value. So field name, field value. So which this piece of code will create that particular record.
Yeah.
We have got the access token generated, everything. I'll come to customization, scripting, scripts. We have RESTlet.
So after getting the token only, we have to deploy the script.
No, token is a separate thing. You don't have to. So token is needed when you want to test it. You can create a script. That's, I mean, it won't stop you from creating that script. Token is just to integrate it with any other application. So this part is clear, right? This is same. You have to come and put the script in file cabinet. This record will be created. The thing is about deployment. So when you create a deployment here, you give the name and then this ID, right? And then you say deployed, the status is released again, and then you have separate log level. And then this is the same audience thing. So as soon as you save it, you'll get a URL and you'll get an external URL, similar to what we get in SuiteLate also, right? Now SuiteLate external URL will only come when you check this available without login checkbox.
Correct.
Otherwise, you'll have only URL. In case of RESTlet, you'll get the external URL. So this is the URL which we need to use from Postman. Now I will go to Postman.